Hey everybody, welcome back to 1 Minute Walking Tours. Today we're here at the rather dramatic and quite beautiful North Carolina monument. Now I'm going to try and show you who sculpted it. Now if you can make it out, signature is right there. It's a man named Gutzon Borglum. And if you know anything about Gutzon Borglum, and most people don't, you know that Borglum sculpted Mount Rushmore. So very dramatic, very well done sculpture. Now, one of the things you want to know about sculptures at Gettysburg is that if anyone's ever pointing, what they're doing is they're pointing towards the enemy. And on July 3rd, 1863, these troops from North Carolina are lined up with Tennessee and Mississippi all along here, and they're getting ready to make their attack, as the sculpture says, pointed out this way. Now, also included is the marker at the beginning where I showed you, it said North Carolina. But the North Carolinians are all the way out here. See these marker here? I don't know if you can make out the one behind me. But also a flank marker. And these were the North Carolinians are waiting to make their attack across this field, which is 1.5 miles. So they're waiting and they're waiting. They stay here for most of the day, and they're here for the bombardment, which is an hour. And there are guns up here just past Tennessee Monument. There are guns right up here, and there are guns right up here. And it's Lee's belief after the second day that really what's going to break the Union line right along here is its center. And if they can attack and break the center, the day will be theirs. They'll carry the East Cemetery Hill, and they'll separate the Army up the Potomac, with the part being down here by Big Round Top and part being over here by East Cemetery, Hope's Hill. So around 3 o'clock, North Carolinians set out across this field. Now all of the fence lines that are here, they were here at the time of the battle, not those actual fences. There wasn't anybody in the Army of Northern Virginia who didn't really think this was a bad idea. There wasn't really a lot of success ahead of them if they did it this way. Many of these troops had fought at the Battle of Malvern Hill, which was one of the biggest slaughters for the Army of Northern Virginia. And they figured even with the artillery, they're not going to have a lot of luck. Now, what makes Lee think this is going to work? Well, on the second day, some of his men is taking part of the giant attack under a man named Ransom White. They break through right up over by this area up in here, and White says he's able to see a valley with boulders just beyond it, and there's nothing there. So it occurs to Lee, well, what if we bombard this under Napoleon's ideas of preparation artillery? We send more men in this direction. You might be able to break through. So there's artillery coming from the right of the image and the left of the image, and the troops have to constantly stop and redress their lines. They come to these fences, and believe it or not, this takes a lot of effort to knock it down. So you're under fire, it's hot, you've been here for 3 days by now, and you have to stop, push these down, or climb over them under fire while the Union is waiting. That column is, they're waiting for you, and you know it. Last thing in the world you want to do is push this down. Now, fortunately for North Carolina, they're in this little area that's a little bit more protected, so they can stay here for a minute or two pull these down. But then they have to keep moving. The White House up there, that's their target. Now, no one who ever fought with the North Carolinians or took part in the Third Day's fighting ever said, we attacked the wrong spot. But history is still trying to figure that out. Are they attacking the grove of trees up there, or are they attacking the crops of trees, which we all say now that's what they're attacking? But those trees weren't any higher than about 8 feet at the time. So this is the Emmitsburg Road right here, and there would have been these fences. So now, even worse, they've gone through those fences back there. They have to go through not one, but 2 sets of fences right when they reach rifle range. Now, on a side note, these are a snake rail fence. These need to be cow high, hog low, high enough so the cow can't go over it, low enough where the hog can't root underneath it. So by now the units are broken up. They struggle to get across the road here, which was sunken as things were before it was raised to be a modern road. They then have to get through this next layer of fences when all of this area up here just explodes. Canister, which is kind of a gigantic shotgun shell from the guns up here. Rifles, everything's ready. And by now the units aren't the classic formed lines you get when you picture a Civil War battle. Now they're clumps of men. And they're gathered around their unit flags, they're gathered around their commanders, and they're moving forward. Probably hoping at some point they'll be in enough cover. Now, if you're a veteran troop, you know that you can lie right here. You followed orders, you did your bit. The road is sunken, like many sunken roads in the battles of the Civil War. You can stay here until you get enough courage up to try to go back. Now, most of the attack, which actually extends all the way around here, all the way around up towards Big Round Top, and all the way towards General Pickett's all-you-can-eat battlefield buffet. You have to close with the enemy, and they've been told, don't fire. You want to get right up on the enemy, and you want to rush them. By now there's smoke, unbelievable noise, bodies, parts of bodies, but you haven't even started to fight yet. By now, most of the fighting has pushed back the rebel attack on the third day, all the way past this house, I forget the name, and that's where George Pickett is going to watch the attack. And little tiny monument down there, that's where Winfield Scott Hancock is wounded. So North Carolinians are charging now as best they can, their heads tucked away like you would a storm. And the closest most troops get to breaking this line is right here at the angle. General Armistead and a handful of his men make it to this point. Angle. And anyone making it over into this line is killed or captured. Union troops with their guns right here. Union troops all the way down this line. You can see the monuments. But North Carolinians keep pushing. They're going to break this line. They're going to make this attack. And even though they can now receive fire from a rather surprised Union army on this side, they keep moving to that stone. '26th North Carolina Regiment under Pettigrew in Heath's division. Now they're very nearly destroyed, but this is the farthest anyone gets on that third day. So this is essentially a repeat of Malvern Hill in many ways, a repeat of Fredericksburg, at least from the perspective of the Yankees. And this is pretty impressive, considering all that fire. If you can see behind me, the tree line, that's where they start. And they're under no cover at any point. From this point on in the end of the war, till the end of the war, North Carolina's battle cry will be farthest at Gettysburg. Now the sad part to that is, other than the loss of life, is Virginia, who has by now co-opted the whole of the rebellion. They will go on to co-opt the history of the rebellion. And even right after the battle, where there are reporters here from Virginia, the reporters here from all over the South, they blame North Carolina for the failure of this attack, saying they didn't have the steady eye and calm nerve of the troops of Virginia. But the troops of Virginia have been turned back already. It's only here, North Carolina, that make it this far. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. See you here soon on 1 Minute Walking Tour.